Joining us now, Senator Bill Hagerty from Senate Foreign Relations and Congressman Darrell Issa from House Foreign Affairs. We welcome both of you gentlemen to the show. Thanks for joining us tonight. Senator, your reaction to the State Department warning it will not be in a position to evacuate U.S. citizens from Ukraine if Russia invades. What's your reaction to that?
Liz, it takes America back to the Afghanistan debacle. They don't even know how many Americans are there. I can assure you it's far more Americans in Ukraine than were in Afghanistan. Again, we're found not prepared for this. It's going to be a very, very difficult situation. I know that the State Department has already made the call to begin to move certain people out of the embassy already. It's one of the last calls that an ambassador would do. It's going to set a new wave of concern off among the people of Ukraine, and it's going to send a pretty strong signal to Vladimir Putin as well.
So to the Senator's point, Congressman, your reaction to what's going on there as the president today ignored questions about Russia and Ukraine as he returned from Camp David. But, Congressman, he has been ramping up the rhetoric. The more he ramps it up, the more he risks escalating the U.S. into war. What is your take on this?
Well, first of all, Liz, he's drawn a red line in front of the Oval Office desk. There is no red line at the border of Ukraine. And that's where the problem comes. Ronald Reagan famously said peace through strength. What he didn't say, but was implied, is war through weakness. As the senator knows, having been ambassador to Japan, that reaction, all those Chinese aircraft, including one nuclear-capable aircraft, were sent to intimidate the U.S. Fleet that was there with the Japanese doing routine training. So the fact is, on two fronts, our weakness is beginning to really cause a possibility of a war that never had to happen. With strength, there is no war. With weakness, whether it's World War I, World War II, or quite frankly, the wars we did in between until Ronald Reagan, you've got to show strength if you want to maintain peace.
Indeed.
So, yeah, that will. So the Senator, will that deter Putin? Should we knock him out? You know, he's the smart guy. And the leaders of China, they're smart, too. What will deter Putin? Do you knock him out of the electronic funds transfer system, SWIFT? Do you knock him out of dollar global transactions? What do you do?
Every one of the things that you mentioned, Liz, we've got a tremendous number of tools at our disposal. We can sanction them. We should have been doing this already, though. The Biden administration, again, holds back. They send signals that I think just are very difficult for anyone to interpret other than weakness, as Congressman Issa said. If you look at what's happened at our southern border, we won't defend our own border. How do you think the Ukrainians expect us to help them defend theirs? It'd be a hard sell to the American public, I can tell you that. If you think about the entire posture of the Biden administration, it's been one of capitulation, appeasement, of weakness. We need to be speaking from strength, just like President Trump did. There's a reason that Putin never tried this type of thing when President Trump was in office, because we were talking about America first then. We were speaking through strength. And now what we've seen is a reversion back to a place even worse than the Obama administration. So Putin is reading the cards, I think, very carefully. He saw what happened when the START treaty came up. He got an extension and exactly what he wanted and had to give nothing in return. They were barely touched for the Colonial Pipeline. And then President Biden shows up with a list of 16 industries that Putin should not touch. I guess that leaves the rest of America completely vulnerable. Nord Stream 2, they're mandatory congressional sanctions. This administration refuses to enforce them. And as oil prices go up, in fact, Putin's helping that happen. He's becoming richer by the day. Everything's moving his way. Why not step up and take advantage of this situation, too?
Yeah. To the senator's point, there was no U.S. reprisal, Congressman, when Russia was thought to have shut down, the malefactors in Russia shut down the Colonial Pipeline, which fuels the East Coast, right? So they came in, Russia and China has been coming into our infrastructure and taking down infrastructure without firing a shot. Now, the U.S. Prime Minister Boris Johnson warns this could be a new Chechnya invading Ukraine from a Russian perspective. It'll be violent and bloody. But listen to Democrats, listen to the Secretary of State on this. Watch what they are saying. Watch this.
We are in intense, regular, constant communication, consultation with allies and partners to make it very clear that these massive consequences will follow.
Is it conflict that Putin chooses? And then if he does, how many body bags does he want to count going back to Russia of Russia's sons?
Massive consequences, and now they're talking body bags, Congressman. Your reaction?
Well, you have to go all the way back to the faux pas that President Kennedy got himself into with Cuba, where he showed in the Bay of Pigs weakness, ultimately having to show huge strength and stare down the Soviet Union by saying, not don't fire a missile at me or don't do more. He said, dismantle and remove. Right now, unless President Biden says dismantle and remove those troops, those ships that are intimidating Ukraine, he isn't doing the equivalent of what President Kennedy did so long ago, which is draw a line that says you must stand back, not a line that says you can have a minor incursion and I'll let it slide, which is what he said and what Putin is now acting on.
Yeah, to the congressman's point, you know, Senator Cotton has made this point too, Senator, that if Vladimir Putin can get away with Ukraine, what message does that send to Xi Jinping about what he can do in Taiwan, right? What do you say, Senator?
I think it sends exactly the wrong message, as you know, Liz. I mean, I think that's implied in your statement. And I think Xi Jinping is watching this very carefully. The words minor incursion, when that came from President Biden last week in the press conference, I'm sure Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, the Ayatollahs in Iran, all of them cracked open their dictionary to find out exactly what that meant they could get away with. I mean, this is exactly the wrong type of signal to send. We should be stepping up now. I would go a step further, actually. I think the congressman is right in terms of the posture that we need to adopt, but I think we need to begin imposing sanctions right now to give President Putin not only a taste of the pain, but of our resolve. That's what we need to see right now, not rhetoric. We've got plenty of rhetoric. We need to show our resolve right now. We need to demonstrate that with deeds.
Yeah, Putin doesn't respond to rhetoric, right, Congressman, to what the senator is saying. You know, but Secretary of State Blinken is saying we need to hold on to sanctions as one of our tools, as a deterrent, not deploy them now. Your final word, Congressman, what do you think?
The strongest sanction we can do against what the late John McCain called a gas tank of a government is, in fact, to begin pushing oil and natural gas out of this country, driving down the prices and driving away the surpluses that are causing them to be so emboldened. Russia is an empty suit in most ways, except for their ability to sell natural resources. We need to hit them where it hurts, and we need to do it now.
Senator Bill Hagerty, Congressman Darrell Issa, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on. That was a great interview. It was a great segment. Come back soon. Up next.